and fail it, like it's going to be brutal for our stock price. So they're like, I don't care. We don't care about this.
Oh my
So he
God.
went out and got, NIH funding and other grants and did the work kind of on his own, and then proved that it actually worked. And it turns out to be, one of the most effective. It's the reason that breast cancer has gone from a death sentence to so many people to now something that you can, say that this was a rough experience and now I'm moving on with my life. So yeah,
Wow.
thank you to the NIH, and thanks a lot, RFK Jr., for
Getting all of
slashing
that.
and burning your way through that.
Yeah, Elon has a say in that as well. But I wanted you to share that again because sometimes these things can feel very abstract. But cuts to medical research, it's going to have a huge impact because all of the new drug molecules that have been developed over the past couple of decades, it's been with public funding because of exactly the reason you talk about. With the drug companies, what they spend most of their like research and development on is like, how do I
Marketing.
game the patent system? How do I do a new formulation of Viagra or Ozempic or whatever is their hot selling drug,
or hair loss,
so that I can. Yeah. You're looking good. You're hanging in there, Ryan. You're hanging in there.
Full head of hair.
Hanging in for now. And the other thing that the Doge folks are so upset about is what they call overhead on these NIH grants.
Right.
And a conference, or a conference is the definition of overhead, but conferences are where intellectual capacity is exchanged. The guy was
sort of research is not always quote unquote efficient.
It's
right?
not. So,
it requires
sometimes
this sort of like, creative, haphazard process that isn't going to necessarily be linear.
Yeah, I've seen people say, well, I only want to fund the effective research. It's like, how do you know ahead of time? Like, yeah, obviously scientists don't want to like spend years doing research into something that turns out to be a null hypothesis. But another example of overhead would be this guy who he was apparently, or is still to this day, a hoarder of biopsy samples. Like at UCLA, he had this like absolutely massive freezer of biopsy samples from like years and years and years. And that's overhead. Like that's expensive to maintain. And it wasn't obvious that it was going to necessarily yield a whole lot. But when this new breakthrough came around, he was then able to test this against all of his old biopsies that he had and get his graduate students working on it. And that's how he was able to initially prove, without a huge influx of money, that there was actually a lot to this. So all of that would have been, they'd be like, you'd have a 22-year-old with a Doge like little lanyard saying, hey, why do you need to freeze all these biopsies? Like this is done. Pull the plug on this stuff.
Yeah. Well, we are all really, really happy for you and your family and very relieved alongside you. So, and thank you for keeping everybody updated because I know people were definitely concerned and thinking about you guys.
Yeah, very relieving.
All right, let's check in with the markets this morning and what the hell's going on latest in tariffs. Apparently futures are down. It's 9:13, so markets haven't opened yet. But I saw an article on the CNBC website that Amazon sellers are starting to hike their prices. And, that is kind of where we are in the whole trade war situation is we know even if Trump backs away from everything now, there's still going to be pain and disruption that is coming. What we don't know is the size and the scope of that. And I don't think anyone really knows, but we have a lot of indications that should be very worrying to people. At the same time, Trump had backed off this maximalist China position saying, 145% tariffs. No one thinks that is going to last. He also indicated that there were ongoing talks with China, to which China is saying, I don't know what you're talking about. There are no ongoing talks. So Trump got asked about this yesterday. Let's go ahead and take a listen to what he had to say.
Yeah, please. A question on China. Can you clarify with whom the U.S. is speaking with China? They're saying it's fake news that trade talks are happening.
They had a meeting this morning, so I can't tell you. It doesn't matter who they is. We may read it later, but they had meetings this morning, and we've been meeting with China. And so I think you have, Jeff, as usual. I think you have your reporting wrong. Thank you very much.
So there you go. Your thoughts. Doesn't matter who they are. It's fine.
Yeah, this is their big. I mean, listen, like, if you are making deals, there's a way in which this scenario is so much better for the Trump administration. If you're like actually inking deals, countries are coming to you, you have something on the table with China. And there's a light at the end of the tunnel for people who are looking for certainty in the American market, then there's a world in which, again, like this, there's a scenario in which the sort of bleeding can be staunched. And that's why I don't know what you guys think, but for me, it seems like there's increasing desperation to project that and maybe to use it as a strategy to bring other people into deals by publicly being like, yes, we're doing X, Y, and Z, and then there's not a ton of evidence of that. The Japan disaster that Sagar and I covered earlier in the week, I think probably rattled them a lot, because this is not, I don't want to say that they thought it was easy, because I don't think anybody thought that this was easy, but it's proving to be a lot harder than my guess is that than they had anticipated. And part of that is probably because you guys have made this point, the way allies were roped in. I think maybe that just people have lost trust. And so it makes the deal making, the art of the deal becomes a lot more difficult.
Well, it's really embarrassing for Trump here, and it's almost rude now on the part of the press corps, because this is like a situation where you've got some guy who keeps telling everybody that he has a girlfriend in Canada. Everybody knows he has no girlfriend in Canada, and the press is now being these like jerks who like actually investigate.
Like, well, is she in Montreal? Like, where is she?
What's the name of your girlfriend? Is she on,
when did you talk to her?
Snapchat? Like, it's like just leave it alone. Like, he doesn't have a girlfriend. There's no negotiations going on with China. Like, it's super embarrassing. Like, just leave the guy alone. The whole thing has been a total humiliation. Just let him come to terms with it on his own. But yes, your point is exactly right. He had one play. His play was, I'm going to do this thing and China is going to cave to me. You know, what they're going to capitulate to, I'm not sure, because I don't even know what I'm necessarily asking for, but they're going to cave. And our allies are going to stand with us. Instead, the allies shockingly got upset that they were also attacked by Trump. They did not stand with us, and China did not cave. And so he has no plan B. Plan B is tank the economy.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing is, like, even putting the tariffs aside, this administration had gone out of its way to be, to piss off the Europeans, sending JD Vance over there to like lecture them about their free speech, which, look, there are some valid points there, but hey, buddy, have you seen what your own administration is doing here at home?
We let people say whatever they want inside the van on the way to the detention center that they're being kept in for writing an op-ed against Israel. But inside that van, they're free to say whatever they want.
Let it fly. Yeah. Let it fly. Yeah. And listen, it's okay if, mostly okay if you criticize our own government. Just God forbid you say anything negative about Israel. But yeah, so, they went on like a world tour, making it clear that you can't rely on us. And basically, like, we don't like you and piss off. And then launch this trade war against the entire world and are surprised when countries are like, if you're making me pick between you guys and China, number one, we get a lot more stuff from China at this point than we get from you. And number two, you made it crystal clear that you are not a good and reliable partner and that you have nothing but utter contempt and disdain for us. So perhaps there's another direction that we should go in here. And then also, this is astonishing reporting from Jeff Stein, who just is, incredible on all of these things. Apparently, one of the first moves that China made in retaliation was to say, okay, well, we've been spending all these years locking up these rare earth supplies, and you're not going to get access to them anymore. We've all been, like, I don't really understand what these things are, but apparently they're really important and, go into EVs and important for defense and all of these different things. And this has been discussed for years and years. And yet the Trump administration are only now holding these high-level meetings to try to figure out what to do about the fact that China made the most obvious chess move on the board out of the gates, which was to block our access to this. Jeff here says Beijing does not feel like it is going to back down and that the U.S. is in no position to dictate terms. A big part of that is rare earths, where they feel they have the capacity to do significant harm to American manufacturers. And they talk to people in this piece, companies that rely on these, and they're saying, they're already really drawing down their stockpiles and are going to be in a very difficult situation if this isn't resolved quickly. Meetings have involved White House National Security Council, National Economic Council, Council of Economic Advisors, Commerce Department, Energy Department, Office of the Trade Rep, among several other agencies. Financing, capital, financing, permitting, and other